Well, we have Willardson back. Chad, I really appreciate your time again. Chad has written a new book called Smart Not Spoiled: The 7 Money Skills Kids Must Master Before Leaving the Nest. A much needed book in today's society. So I appreciate your time. Appreciate you writing this book. I think we're going to dive into this a little bit. But if you are interested, for a limited time, Chad has this book for 99 cents on Amazon. So head over there, and I'll make sure to have that link in the show notes. But Chad, I really appreciate your time here today.
I really appreciate you having me back. Thank you. It's good to be back.
So give us a breakdown. What made you write this book?
This book came from a place of need, in my opinion, that it's a topic, personal finance just is not really taught to children in school. And most often parents have a difficult time knowing where to start. And so the feelings I had about this as a father of 5 and wanting to teach my kids about money and how to be smart, but also the general feeling that I get that most people feel like this younger generation is spoiled and entitled and expects a lot more, a lot quicker than what we had growing up. A lot of that has to do with technology and seeing what's available. But I believe that we can do a better job at teaching kids to be smart with money. And so that's why I wrote this book.
Yeah, so we'll kind of dive a little bit into these 7 rules that you have here. But before we do, going through the introduction, I even noticed something that caught my eye. It says that you're trying to break the cycle. What cycle are you talking about there?
Just the cycle of money essentially being completely naive or unprepared, that that people pass down those habits and money mindsets to the next generation. And so I'm trying to help people break that cycle where money is finally going to be a comfortable conversation topic at the home, at the kitchen table. People will be comfortable talking to their parents and asking financial questions, and kids even in middle school or younger will have a little bit of a sense of what money is and how to earn it and what it means. And so that's a cycle that we need to break. That one of the studies I cited in the book shows that parents are more comfortable talking to their kids about drugs and sex than money. And for some reason, money is just like a taboo subject. And so my goal is really to help it become more comfortable and more productive, and hopefully something that can teach these kids to be prepared for their future, more financially thoughtful and prepared to be successful, instead of just throwing them out there at age 18 and hoping they figure it out.
Well, I was hoping that we could cover some of these 7 skills, if that sounds good to you, unless you wanted to dive a little deeper on a different approach to this.
No, we can go into some of those for sure.
Sure. So the one of them is that I think we all have heard this, but it's interesting how it's ignored: invest early and often.
Right. That's why there's a reason it's chapter 1, invest early and often. It's teaching the kids of starting when they're younger. I think we can do a lot of great things to involve kids in learning how to invest or what investing is. I share some analogies and stories in the book. There's a chart that shows the power of compounding. And I tell a story about a conversation I overheard between I think a 10-year-old child and his father. And he asked his dad, he said, would you rather receive $100,000 every day, $100,000 every day for 1 month, or a penny today that doubles in value every day for 1 month? And the father's answer was $100,000 every day. That's over 3 million. And the kid said, wrong, Dad, that's not the right answer. You could have had over 5 million if you chose the penny option instead. He didn't believe it, of course. And so his son got his phone calculator out and showed him. Of course, that simple riddle of doubling your money every day, it's not realistic. But the point is, compound interest and compound growth is very powerful. And so if you can show If you can show a young person that even investing or saving $50 a month could grow to significant amounts in their future, it might motivate them to begin a little bit earlier in life. And, I'd rather have kids make mistakes investing really small amounts in their teens than make big mistakes in their 50s and 60s as they're preparing for retirement. So the more they can learn by experience in the beginning, learn by doing, the better.
Yeah, I don't know if they do this anymore, but when I remember being in high school, we used to have this. I think it happened my junior and senior year, where we would even take a fictitious amount of money and have to research the stock market and a few other things and actually see how our portfolios compared towards the end of the semester. I don't know if they do that type of thing anymore.
I don't know. I have 2 kids in high school and I have not heard an assignment like that, but that would be a great exercise for sure.
So the other thing is borrow wisely. This is especially interesting because Apple, of course, announced their new lineup just this week. So everybody's probably all excited about the new iPhones and everything. Let's get that put on the credit card, right?
Yes, I talked a little bit about good debt versus bad debt, and there are a lot of different ways to look at debt. I have some clients who are very much into using debt and using leverage and borrowing to grow their wealth, and others are very anti-debt and they don't ever want to have debt. So if they buy a house, they're going to pay cash. If they buy a car, they're going to pay cash. And so my take is more balanced and somewhere in the middle. I think it's not reasonable to say borrowing is terrible and you should never borrow. On the flip side, you have to be responsible. And so people who are buying everything on credit cards, but not paying those bills, they're just paying minimum payments, they're going to end up with a significant hole to dig out of. And so the chapter really goes into some ways that you can help teach your kids about how to be smart with debt, the different types of debt, whom to borrow from, what the rates might be. We captured rates as of today and what they're like. And just really understanding what it means when you borrow money. What does it do to the cost of your transaction? So I think kids understanding a little bit about borrowing at a young age is really healthy for them. Because when they turn 18, they're going to get student loan solicitations and credit card solicitations immediately. Like they're on those marketing lists, they're on the radar. So let's at least prepare them and have these conversations first before they're just thrown out into the world.
Right. So the next one is know their cash flow. That sounds suspiciously like trying to teach them how to create a budget.
We don't use the B word, but yes, it is very much like that. Knowing their cash flow, and I like to use the phrase cash flow because it's a financial term that I think it's good for kids to learn the actual terminology, so it's not so foreign when they grow up. But yes, we talk about involving them in a little bit of the family planning process. Now, some parents feel like, well, I'm not telling my kids about money. That's private. It's confidential. They don't need to know anything. I would say you don't need to share your income. You don't need to share your net worth, but you certainly can share the cost of things that you're buying as a family. I don't think there's any harm in discussing the cost of the groceries or the cost of utilities or rent or mortgage payments. So I think involving them in keeping track of some expenses, or maybe helping them do a comparison shop exercise for a big purchase in the family. Maybe it's a vacation, maybe you're buying a fridge or a TV or something. Have them do some comparison shopping, have them understand the difference between prices and expenses, and just get their feet wet. Even at a young age, kids can understand. If they don't, they're not going to understand how much their lifestyle costs. And frankly, they won't have much appreciation for it because they simply have no idea how much you're spending on them as their parents. So I think this is an important topic to involve them in for sure.
Yeah. So the next one you had is talking taxes. And this is kind of hits a little closer to home for me because my daughter started her first job this summer.
There you go.
And so that was their first experience with taxes.
So she got a paycheck and it wasn't the full amount that she thought she was getting paid.
Right.
Yeah. And so one exercise I have in there is just reviewing a sample paycheck with your kids. You can go online and just Google a sample pay stub and review the different taxes and withholdings. People don't realize this, but taxes is your number one expense, more than your rent or your mortgage. If you consider income tax and sales tax and all the other taxes we pay, there's something to be reckoned with. So you need to really have those conversations. And one thing I like to do when we go out to eat as a family is I like to take a delicious bite of all of my kids' meals before they start. And I say, kids, that's taxes right there. So you're just paying your dad tax.
Yeah, dad tax. Yeah.
They're all used to it by now. And I get to sample some delicious varieties of meals that I'm not ordering. So with a teenager, maybe a junior or senior in high school, I'd suggest you go over a simple Form 1040 tax return. And you may not know exactly how to teach that yourself, but online there's a lot of YouTube videos. I have some resources on my website. That's pacificcapital.com/smartnotspoiled. You can go there. But I think teaching them a little bit about the actual process of filing taxes is important, because like you said, your daughter got her first job. She's going to have to file taxes. Okay. And so people need to learn a little bit about what this will be like when they're older. And you can really set them up to be smart at a younger age than basically what we're doing these days.
Right. Yeah. And then, if they actually get anything back in their taxes, what to do with it.
True. Good point. Yeah. What it means. I wrote in there what it means to get a tax refund, what it means to owe money. So.
Yeah, because I just know historically a lot of the people that I know around me, most of the ones that I can think of, they're out spending it on the next gadget or something instead of doing something.
Yeah, they look at it like it's free money. It's a windfall of a bonus or something that's brand new. When really, when I say in the book, it's like, if you get a refund, that just means you overpaid last year. It just means you didn't properly estimate what you would owe. And so if you need more money in your monthly budget or your monthly lifestyle expenses, you could change how much in your taxes is withheld each year, each month, each pay period. Mm-hmm. So I talk a little bit about teaching your kids, because there's so much marketing around these big companies that say we can get you a good refund if you use us for your taxes. But sometimes we misunderstand what that means. So,
right. So the next one was learning to earn.
Learning to earn. What do you think about that title? What does that mean?
Well, I think it sounds very rich dad, poor dad. The concept of looking for some of those opportunities around you.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife and I do not pay an allowance. We never have. And I talk about learning to earn, learning to be valuable, learning to look for opportunities to earn money. So I never felt that paying my kids each weekend because they survived another week was like a good training ground for the real world. So
right.
I'd like to pay them for doing work and not just for breathing. So we have a list, basically a menu of opportunities that they can choose from each day, and they can do the work that they want to do, and they'll be paid based on how much work they do. So they can correlate their own efforts and their work with what they earn. I believe that's a better training mentality for the real world and their future. So I give a few examples of how we've had our kids initiate ways to earn money around the house, rather than just say, here's your allowance because you're this years old, and on Saturday we give you this much money. That to me is kind of it's very common, but to me it's not productive.
Right. This is very old school to a certain extent. My family, we watch a lot of the old black and white TV shows. Andy
Awesome.
Griffith is one of them, for example. And that's a recurring theme in there is, Opie has to earn his allowance, and some rich kid in the neighborhood is like, why are you cleaning out the garage? it's kind of
Funny.
interesting to watch, to see that. And I can't believe that's still an kind of seen today as an old school thought.
Right. It shouldn't be, for sure. If you want kids to be smart, not spoiled, then they've got to learn to work. Our kids, my youngest is 6 and my oldest is almost 17. We've got 3 in the middle. So there's 5 kids. When they have a birthday party invitation, or around the holidays, they might have a Christmas gift exchange event that they're going to. They are going to pay for their own gifts. The bank of mom and dad are not funding all these birthday gifts. So they've got to figure out a way to earn some money, and then they've got to go pick out the gift and buy it. And that's what they're going to take. And I think they appreciate that more. And maybe they're not going to say yes to 10 different parties in 1 month because they realize, wow, this is very expensive. But if we don't teach them to appreciate money or time, then they're going to grow up having a skewed sense of reality once they leave the house.
I didn't actually expect this. This was one of the benefits of my daughter getting her first job. All of a sudden, and it was almost instantaneous, she has become far more selective on what she spends her money on. Interesting. So,
because she sees that it's not just free money. She has to actually put in effort and time to earn it. So it's valued differently.
So another thing that I think is interesting that you bring up in your next one is something that I think we really are missing: the concept of protecting who and what you care about. The concept of not saving a little money or putting a little money aside for emergencies seems to be the credit card again.
Sure. Yeah, it's the mentality today is really, you only live once. It's that YOLO mentality of like, we'll figure it out later, just live in the moment. But I've seen in my profession, the last 19 years, I've seen too many instances where people were careless, families were unprepared. And when the emergency happens, it's too late. It's too late to prepare. So I just give a few examples and stories and ideas to teach your kids about being prepared and really doing things ahead of time to show that you care for those people in your life that matter, your family. So as you can see, in the last 2 years, the world is unpredictable. And we had businesses shut down. We had people laid off. People couldn't go to work. And those who were prepared were able to get through that, and hopefully are still getting through that. But many people were not. Many people were spending every penny they had and borrowing to fund lifestyle needs or wants, essentially. And when the emergency happened, it was a bigger problem for those people. So I just encourage families to have those conversations about being prepared for the what ifs in life.
Right. And then your last one is give generously.
It's important.
Yeah. I actually think, it's one of those things that it's a mindset shift more than anything else, is that concept. Instead of seeing it as a cost, there's a greater reward there than they probably realize.
I agree with you. I believe the mindset of abundance would teach you and your family to be givers. And if I believe strongly that if you teach children at a younger age to give and donate and not essentially keep everything for themselves, then they will not have a scarcity mindset. They will see opportunities. They will see abundance. They will seek to do good with their money and their resources and not just spend it on themselves and accumulate things. So the happiest people I know are people who are givers. And so in that chapter, I share a few specific examples of my own family and of friends or clients that have really incorporated their children in different ways of giving. And I think, I put that last because I wanted to make sure that it was hammered home, but it could have been first. It's that important of a topic when it comes to financial planning and things like that. You've got to be someone who's using your resources for good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's one of those things that, again, it's a mindset thing. Unfortunately, I think there's a swath of the population who rely on our taxes to be that giving avenue that, in fact, frankly, it's spent mostly on bureaucracy. It doesn't actually do what you think it's doing. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And we have clients who will actually involve their children in choosing local charities to give time to. So even if you can't give a lot of money, you can give time. I think that's more important with the kids. Yes, the kids can learn to give a portion of their earnings to charity, but even better, they can give a portion of their earnings and some time and effort in that charity. So if there's a fundraiser, 5K walk, or a cleanup at the park or something like that, where the kids can get out, donate a little bit of their own earned money and give some time and service, that really changes the mindset. And also it provides a great experience for the family together.
Sure. Just to remind everybody again, we're talking about Chad's new book. It's called Smart, Not Spoiled. I'll make sure to have that link in the show notes to take you there. Take advantage of this. It's 99 cents right now. There's some great lessons here. But before we close this out, Chad, when you advise people regarding their finances, is this a topic that you frequent? Like, how does these conversations go with some of these parents?
It's interesting. I hear about this topic so much that it moved me to write the book. So parents are constantly talking about how to teach their kids about money, or they don't want to spoil or ruin their kids by giving them too much or having too much. I hear that a lot as well. We recently had a client couple come in, and the husband said, I don't want to pay for any of my kids' college. And they had a big family. And he said, my parents didn't pay for me, and I had to work jobs in college. And it really helped me appreciate college. And I learned a lot. And his wife said, well, my parents paid for college so I could actually focus on the experience and the studies and not be distracted by making some minimum wage earnings. And then I got a job as soon as I graduated. And so they had completely different backgrounds and mindsets around what a parent should be providing for. Mm-hmm. At the end of the discussion, they kind of settled on, let's fully fund the freshman year of our children at college, if they choose to go to college, and they can figure out a way to earn scholarships or work part-time to pay for the rest of their college. So we all come with different money mindsets and blueprints from when we were raised as children. But I believe it's extremely healthy to have the conversation as a family and say, what should we be paying for, and what should we encourage to have the responsibility on our children's shoulders? And at what age is that appropriate? So these are just conversations that we could have, and everyone's going to have a different take on it, and that's fine. But my goal is to at least help you have those conversations and give you some ideas and activity ideas and stories that you can share that will at least kickstart those conversations in your family.
Yeah, and I can't stress how important this is. I mean, with everything this day and age, these, like you already brought up, these conversations, frankly, don't happen enough, not only around the family dinner table, but it doesn't happen in the school system.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So Chad, I really appreciate your time again. I'll make sure to have those links in the show notes, but before I let you go, is there a topic or a question you wished I would have asked you here today?
I don't think so. I think you did a great job. We covered many of the highlights of the book, and I just would reemphasize that no matter what stage your kids are at, I have people buying the book whose kids are in college, and some newlyweds who have like a brand new baby or don't even have kids yet. I just think it's a way to really get your family prepared to have those conversations and really discuss what matters most in the family and shape your own financial future of the young people in your life.
So I can't imagine this 99-cent deal is going to last much longer. How long do people have?
I think the publisher said it's for the first week. It might be 2 weeks. It might be 1 week, but it's a very temporary discount for sure.
So, well, take advantage of that. I appreciate it again, Chad, and I hope we can chat again sometime.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jack.